In this video, as the title suggests, I'm going to be showing you one of the best Pokemon card decks I have ever made. It is a very strategical deck. So if you're not interested in a strategical deck, you don't have to watch. But it can also be played just regularly. I'm going to be going over all the cards and how to use them. We're going to start with the cards from the Astral Radiance Pokemon card set. This is a list of all the cards that you need. Ignore that. Right there. Just ignore that. And these are what the cards look like. This card is used... A lot of these cards are there, like the Pokemon. I'll tell you if they're for things such as, like, the strategy part of the deck. For obvious... I'm going to redo this, okay? Just ignore everything you heard. So, in this deck, it specifically uses this card and his attack. So an attack like that means it costs no energy to use. But it's also a very good attack. You can read what it does. It says, Upstream Spirits, 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each basic energy in your discard pile. Then shuffle those cards into your deck. It is a very good card, specifically. But now I'm gonna just go through these cards. Remember, this deck can be played regularly, not as this big strategy deck. This card is the Kamado card, which it's very useful for obvious reasons. You choose a card in your hand and discard the other cards. Then you draw 4 more cards. So this is extremely helpful if you have like a Pokemon in your hand, and all the rest are energies that you need to discard to get Hisuian Basculegion out. And then you just get to draw 4 cards, and those could be energies, and whatever. A lot of these... this card is the Scyther. And this card is the Cleavor. They don't do anything to the strategy, although this Cleavor does have extremely good attack. You have about a 25% chance of flipping 2 coins and them both being heads. In addition to that, Hoot Hoot is also there, and so is Noctowl. They're just as the regular... And they're just the regular usage of the deck, so they don't really matter to the strategy. This one could be useful if you need to get more energy. So I would not recommend using, like, discarding this card because of an effect, like Kamado's effect. So if, like, you're using Kamado, just don't get rid of this card because it's very good. You have these 2 cards. This one, you basically want it to not be a fighting energy. And this one, you switch your active basic Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon, and then you can heal 30 damage from the Pokemon you move to your bench, so it's also a very useful card. But they don't really matter to the strategy. Now this one matters. It is Hisuian Basculin, which is obviously the one that evolves into Basculegion. So just don't discard that because of a card effect. That is all of the Astral Radiance cards. I'll show that again. Oh, and these numbers, so if you're looking for this card online, you just search up Scyther, and then just 004 out of 189, and it'll come up with this card. Because look, down in the corner right there, 004 out of 189, that's like the card's number in the set. So that's Astral Radiance. Next is Brilliant Stars, and this has one very important. These are the cards that you need from the Brilliant Stars set. We'll go over the less important one. This is just from the, just if you want to use this as, this is the, like a regular deck. If you want to use the deck as a regular deck, this is a card that you would use. It doesn't do anything to the strategy. Now this one, this is very important. Do not discard this one. It is important because of its ability Regal Stance. Just so you know, abilities can be used from on the bench. So he does not have to be in your active spot to be used. And it is a very good ability. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand. So let's say your hand was like 12 energies. You could discard all those energies to help with getting this card all powered up. And then you just draw 5 more cards. Its other attack is also very good. But, yeah. You mostly want to be using the Regal Stance ability. That's the numbers and stuff again. We then have, now this is important. This is all the energies that you need. Now, those are important on this one. You need 3 dark, 4 electric, 5 fighting, 4 fire, 2 grass, 9 steel. So, steel is what you're going to be using for anything like this card, where it has the colorless energy. So that's going to be what you're using as the colorless energy. And then, 3 water. And this actually is exactly 30 cards, so it takes up exactly half of your deck. And next, oh, and yes, sorry about this. The Zamazenta and Morpeko are Brilliant Stars. You can find what set they're from up at the top. Next we have our Evolving Skies, which is those 2 cards. Every Pokemon card there's only one of it in there, unless I say otherwise. We have Rayquaza first. It can be very good because of its Dragon Pulse move, and I guess Spiral Burst. Because for Dragon Pulse, you can discard the top 2 cards of your deck. I wouldn't really recommend doing that, as you could end up getting rid of an important card such as Zamazenta or Hisuian Basculin. Or Hisuian Basculegion. The second card, well, sorry, I didn't talk about his second move. You can discard up to 2 basic fire energy from the Pokemon, and up to 2 basic electric energy from the Pokemon. And it does 80 more damage for each card you discarded that way. It's a very good because you can get 2 more energies to power up your Hisuian Basculegion's move. Then we have the Rescue Carrier, which puts 2 Pokemon with 90 HP or less from your discard pile to your hand. So that could be useful if, say, like, this, or if you wanted, like, if you accidentally discarded him, you can get him back with this thing. We then have our Fusion Strike cards, which you do actually need 2 of these. So, Fusion Strike. And they are 2 bug catchers. You can draw 2 cards, and if you get and then flip a coin. If you get heads, you can draw 2 more cards. This is very helpful because it helps with his ability, because you have a 50% chance of getting an energy anytime you draw a card because of there's 30. So you have about a 50% chance of getting an energy. So that means that if you get that, at least one of them should be an energy, and if you get heads, probably around 2 of them would be energies. Next, we have our Lost Origin cards, which are Hisuian Basculegion. This is where Hisuian Basculegion comes in. I already talked about him. He's very good not as the strategy, too, because of his Water Shot move, which requires only 1 energy. But his Water Shot move also powers up his Upstream Spirits because it discards an energy from him. Next, we have Lady, who is helpful for also obvious reasons, which is searching your deck for up to 4 basic energy cards. By the way, basic energy cards are the ones that are not treasure energy, gift energy, not the ones that don't have, like, the colorless, let's see if I can find like this, the ones that don't have, that have this on the thing. Just the colorless one. And then you can put them into your hand. So 4 is a lot. And then you have the damage pump, which is moving 2 counters from one of your Pokemon to any of your other Pokemon. Any way you like. Actually, I'm sorry about that. It says to your other Pokemon, not one of them. So you could split it up. You could put 1 damage counter on Scyther and 1 on Morpeko, if you wanted. Let's see. Next we have promo cards. I'm not sure what sets these are from, but those are the promo cards. And this one, these are good for the Inteleon is good for the just not strategical deck. And then Detective Pikachu is good either way. Because you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand, and then you just shuffle the other ones. So you could have, like, and you could just get a whole bunch of energies that way. Next we have our Silver Tempest, which we need these cards. And if you see something crossed out like that, that just means I spelled it wrong, because I can't spell. Alright, so our first card is Hawlucha. Sorry about, like, the lighting and stuff. There we go. Allure, you can draw 2 cards, which is very good for only 1 energy. And then Acrobatics is also pretty good. Either way, in the strategical deck or the not strategical deck, he's still very good. Same for Baltoy, which is fun. His first move, mainly, is the only one you're going to really want to be using. Find a friend, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So you can search your deck for any Pokemon. It doesn't have to be a basic Pokemon. You could go for something like Cleavor if you have Scyther. Or Hisuian Basculegion if you want us to get started on your thing. Oh, a thing to note about Basculegion. You return all the discarded energies to your hand. So this is something you would use, like, if you lose the next turn and you can defeat a Pokemon. Because 30 energy, let's just say every single energy you've used, that thing is, like, you've used every single energy in your deck, and they're all in the discard pile, because that does not need an energy to attack. You can do you can do 1,200 damage with this card. Because of his, like, if you're against a fire type or one that's weak against the water type. So you can do up to 1,200 damage with with 1 attack. And, alright, so, sorry about that. I was just noting that. We're still on Silver Tempest. Next we have Torracat, which will become more clear later. It's more for the regular deck. Then we have Beldum. Magnetic Lift is search your deck for any card at all. And then you just shuffle your deck and put that card on top of the deck. So it doesn't let you go into your hand immediately, but that doesn't really matter because you can't, your attack is the last thing you do. You can't, like, play a supporter or an item card after you attack. And then you have Raichu, which Detective Pikachu can actually evolve into Raichu in the Pokemon TCG, which is another, I'll tell you, you'll see this pop up later. That's what you'd basically use that on. You'd use the memory capsule on him, and you'd still be able to use his brilliant deduction attack while also getting all these attacks unlocked. This is not from Silver Tempest, by the way. And then this is the, sorry, I've been forgetting to show that back up at the end. And then we have Shining Fates. These are both cards that do good on the not strategical deck, and they are Yanma and Yanmega. Actually, Yanmega, this just occurred to me, could be pretty good in the strategical deck because let's say you attach a whole bunch of energy, you just keep going for Nosedive, and you can get a whole bunch of good damage off on your opponent while also damaging yourself, letting you be knocked out. Oh, sorry, I forgot the parenthesis at the end of that. I'll fix that now. Just give me a sec. There we go. And now we have Shining Legends, which is a Sun and Moon set. So far, all of the sets have been from Sword and Shield. And then we have our Litten. It's just a good card. Because Torracat, you get all the other stuff from it. And it does 20 damage for 1 energy. It's more for the regular deck rather than strategic one. Only 2 more cards to go. And then we have the Sun and Moon base set. This is a very good card. You can just go, look, it does. The Hustling Strike is never going to do more than 10 because there's no other fire types. But, I mean, there is other fire types, but you have to have used them to get Incineroar. Tiger Swing, just an all-around great move. It can do up to 180 damage. And Burning Slam, well, Burning Slam GX is, I mean, it does 200 damage, but you can only use it once per thing. And then we have this card, which you already saw. It's the Memory Capsule from Vivid Voltage. And then this the Pokemon this card is attached to can use any attack from its previous evolutions. You still need the necessary energy to attack. That is all the cards, and now I'm going to just tell you how to use this. So ideally, you'd start with, like, a hand of, like, maybe, let me find it, like, maybe cards like these. This one would be put on your bench. This one would be put on your bench. This one would go on in your top spot, so you can search a deck for cards. You could just gain a whole hand of energy. And then, once this guy gets knocked out, you'd probably want to bring up... Well, you probably want to have other good Pokemon by then. But if you didn't, you'd put up Zamazenta. And you just keep using his Regal Stance ability. But make sure that immediately after... You do not use Regal Stance if there is an important card in your hand, such as this one. But you want to use it when there are energies so you can get discarding them. But make sure you still have the necessary energy to attack. So ideally, that's what you'd want to start off with. And after using Regal Stance a few times, he'd be knocked out. So your opponent would have about 3 prize cards. Ideally, you'd also have knocked out a whole bunch of their Pokemon. And then you'd probably want to put out Hisuian Basculin or Hisuian Basculegion. And probably want to go for Water Shot a few turns. There are 3 water energy. But you only put up Hisuian Basculegion if your opponent if you only have 1 or 2 prize cards left. If not, just go put something else up. Like, say you have Incineroar. Then get them down to 1. If you get to 1 prize card, immediately go to Hisuian Basculegion. Just immediately retreat into Hisuian Basculegion, whatever Pokemon you have up, and immediately go for Upstream Spirits. Unless Water Shot would do more damage, but at that point in the game, it really shouldn't. Let me find where these go. This one goes there, this one goes there. I just have them all sorted up into piles. This one goes there, this one goes there. And then that you just win if you got Hisuian Basculegion, Upstream Spirits with 1 prize card left. I have won and I've gotten myself out of a few tough spots by using this.